I'm clogging up the internet again.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Hello,
Here we
everybody.
are.
Downward angle.
Hi, guys.
Hi, Josh.
Hello.
How you doing?
Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad. How? What date is it today? The 10th.
The 10th of February, all day. Well, for
Yeah.
the next few hours still.
Good.
Same as yesterday, same as tomorrow. Apart from today, you've got a lovely episode of the Internet Social. Fucking, that was almost like a professional little thing, wasn't it?
Yeah, almost. Yeah.
Almost.
Almost.
You're getting there. You're getting there.
Thanks, man. Thanks.
Just keep the landing quiet.
Just keep writing the scripts, and I'll keep saying them.
Perfect.
So, hello everybody. Welcome to the show. I put season 3, episode 4 on a post I did the other day. Is that right? I've got a feeling it might be 5.
I think it's 5, mate, but it's easy to lose count.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
Okay. It's fucking insane. I mean, we're quickly approaching. What was the first day of lockdown or restrictions? It was mid to late March, wasn't it?
Yeah, the first episode that we did was April 1st.
Really?
Okay.
Yeah, I think so.
That's
I think so.
cool.
I mean, I'll check that, but I'm pretty sure it is. Yeah.
That's crazy. isn't
April
it?
1st. Mental. I heard a rumor today that that's the date. Apparently, a lot of businesses are being touted, retail businesses, that they're going to be open April 1st. But again, could be rubbish. But I've heard a strong rumor through some good sources that that's the case.
Are you mates with Bojo?
What?
Are you mates with Bojo?
I'm not mates with Bojo. Obviously not. But no, just heard it. I can't say where, but just heard it. You know, like everyone. Yeah, my mate works for the government. You know, so yeah, he works for the CIA. Yeah,
Well, fair enough.
there you go. So yeah, take that with a pinch of salt, everyone. Don't take that as fact.
I might put some money on that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is that,
Anyway, how have you been, Nick? Moving quickly on. How have you been this week, Nick?
yeah, good. Yeah, good. Knackered. Really, really fucking knackered. I had Monday and Tuesday off work to do some home improvement. So I've been sanding floorboards, which is an incredibly messy job. I did take, with magic.
No, I mean, I thought, did you have some big like floor sander, or you would literally on your hands and knees doing it?
Yeah, with a wood block and one piece of sandpaper. No,
one on each knee.
Yeah, just grinding the grime off. No, I have a hand sander that's about this big, which I found is it's boring, isn't it? Which I found is good for really old uneven floorboards. So there you go. But it's incredibly dusty, and I was a bit of a mess. I did take some pictures that I thought I might share on social media, but I look so bad in them that I probably won't. But I will.
Send it to me. Yeah, I'd love to.
All right, yeah, but it's looking good. It's looking good. It needs another couple of goes at it, and then varnishing. But yeah, it's quite it's a messy job, but it's actually quite fun because you can see the results quite quickly of what you're doing. It's like yes, yeah. So that's what I've been doing. I'm pretty tired, but I was back at work today. But as soon as I knew or remembered that we were doing this tonight, I was hyped again. I feel energized. How about you guys?
Yeah, Andy?
Well, I am back at work this week because I had last week off because I moved. So back at work, all good. It didn't burn down while I was away, so happy days because that's always the worry, you know. But there's far smarter people there who are not going to let it burn down. So thankful for that. I had a bit of a fun day yesterday where I had to take some product to McLaren's Woking headquarters, and it was literally like I'd driven into the Avengers facility. That's the only way I can describe it. It was very cool. and I had to go to the security checkpoint, like warehouse thing, and this guy had to call the guy. Anyway, it was a big long thing, but I got through, and they said you need to go to this area. So I drove, and yeah, it was literally like the America's Road is. Imagine the Avengers facility. It was just a lot of glass buildings everywhere, and it looked very clean. And probably my favourite part was I parked up. Well, I got to where I was supposed to get to, and I drove past all these like F1 trailers and all this stuff. And then as I went around the corner, it was just all McLaren sports cars everywhere. And I said to this guy, "Oh, I'm here to meet blah blah." He's like, "Yeah, that's fine, mate. Just park there." So I parked my tiny Ford Fiesta in the middle of all these like £1 million McLarens, and I just got out and looked at it. And it was literally my car and a sea of McLaren sports cars. And part of me was like, "Do I take a picture of this, or will they all laugh at me?" And anyway, so thankfully the guy came and met me, so it wasn't too embarrassing. But yeah, it was a fun day, fun adventure.
It's very Thunderbirds Tracy Island, isn't it?
100%, yeah. It was pretty crazy when I got there, and it was like I could see I was like a minute away on the stat nav, and I was like, "Oh, it's sort of like weird," And then it was like on the next roundabout, take the third exit, and then suddenly it just appears in front of you, kind of thing. So, yeah, nice. So that was good bit of fun yesterday, but yeah, back to normal work, all going ahead. Yeah, can't complain really. So it's Chinese New Year, so happy Chinese New Year to everyone. But well, it's coming up. So it's a bit quiet this week because obviously a lot of our factories are in China. So yeah, a bit of a quieter week on the email front, but still stuff to do. So yeah, busy bee. And exploring Milton Keynes has been my other job for the last few days. Because I only ever knew the shopping centre or something, but me and Laura have been on some big walks, and we went to Campbell Park and walked to Willen Lake and around all those bits. And then at the weekend, we went to Woburn Abbey for a big walk and saw all the deer there and stuff. So yeah, it was nice. It's been cool, sort of discovering a new area. So, yeah.
Woburn is my old neck of the woods.
Is it?
Yeah, I lived quite briefly lived in Woburn Village. My grandparents owned a restaurant and bar in Woburn Village. Yeah, It was great. I don't have many memories of it because I was really young, but one of them is hearing Dire Straits playing live at Woburn Abbey. Yeah,
I'm thinking, cool. This is shit.
No, Dire Straits fucking rule, man.
I don't know, man. I don't know. My dad loves Dire Straits. I've just never got it myself. I'll tell you what, man. Dire Straits are probably as bad as the Beatles.
I feel personally attacked by this.
Probably. Anyway, Josh, mate, what have you been up to?
I've got nothing that can compete with Woburn, Dire Straits, or the Beatles, I'm afraid. But I've been working, and that's pretty much it. Working, and then filling time with walking and working out and cooking and all the stuff that everyone else is doing as well.
You say cooking or wooking? You say cooking or wooking? Because it was like you went walking, working out, and wooking.
I said cooking, but I'm interested to hear what wooking might be.
No, I'm only joking. You didn't. I was just trying to see if you were like, did I? Whoops.
No, I know I didn't, but I'm intrigued as to what it might be.
Wooking. Anyone in the chat, let us know what the word wooking could mean.
Is it
like going to a Wookiee hole?
Yeah, is it Wookiees cooking? Chewbacca cooking? Is it Wookiee? I don't fucking.
Yeah, they're Wookiees. Yeah, from the planet Kinships. Yeah.
Yeah.
From the planet what?
Kishik,
I think Wookiees are from.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's canon. That is canon.
Yeah.
It's canon. Yeah, movie accurate.
Is that mentioned in the Christmas special?
What, with Chewie's family when they go and visit him for Life Day? Yeah, that's crazy, isn't it? If anyone out there hasn't seen it, there's a 70s Star Wars Christmas special that George Lucas has designed. He had nothing to do with it, and it was one of these like TV Christmas specials, cheesy American things, and it's about Han trying to get Chewie back for Wookiee Christmas and for Chewie's family, and then Princess Leia sings at the end. It's bonkers, absolutely bonkers. Yeah. Thank you, Aaron. Kishik is correct. Yeah, that's what it is. What's everyone drinking?
Yeah.
Go on, then.
I've got it. Yeah, the Brooklyn Special Effects.
Oh, yeah.
The alcohol free again, but it's really nice.
Nice, mate.
Good stuff.
Nick?
I'm actually drinking the same wine from last week. Not the same bottle. Nailed that. It's the Casillero El Diablo Sauvignon Blanc.
The Devil's Cellar.
Yeah, it's not piss yellow. It's a lovely grape. Again, the fine vintage of 2020.
Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
£6 in Tesco's.
Can anyone guess what I'm drinking?
Some sort of raspberry sour.
Correct. This is a raspberry Berliner. I don't even know what the brewery's called. Black Lodge, which is funny because that's my friend Neil's studio is the Black Lodge. But the name of it is amazing. It's called I Know Karate Voodoo 2. So there we go. I Know Karate Voodoo 2. Haven't sipped it yet, so can's lovely.
Another example of great branding for craft beer.
Tastes amazing. Sainsbury's, £3. Go get it.
Good to go.
Don't forget, everybody, to let us know what you're drinking in the chat. I haven't seen any drinks named yet.
No, I haven't yet. I've seen what Wooking could be, which is fucking a Wookiee.
Well, there you go. Well,
yeah.
I mean, I'll be breaking.
That's how Wookiees do it.
Good
I mean, the three of us do look like Wookiees, so there is well, maybe not. Nick's more of an Ewok.
Oh, Nick, burn.
They may be small in stature, but they're big of heart.
I love that. Burn. Is it a burn?
Is it a burn?
Sure. Not really sure.
Corona.
Oh,
Adam the Sound.
Corona. Yeah, I was like, I got confused for a second there. I was like,
you think that was the Star Wars thing?
He's talking about the I know. Imagine he's talking about the alcohol Corona, which it amazes me still that took a nosedive at the start of everything. That Corona sales plummeted, and they were the ones trying to push for COVID. They were quite a big backer of it being named Norel Corona COVID, and they were like, it's the COVID-19. You know, they were trying to be big backers of that. I think they've been fine since, but I remember seeing a picture of when. Do you remember when people used to loot the supermarkets last year? Mental. Just remember everyone was stripping the shelves of all the supermarkets. What a weird time that was last year. But people left Corona beer. That was my favourite thing. Corona beer got left.
Yeah, surplus of Corona beer.
Just made absolutely no sense whatsoever.
Well, maybe that's perfect. What sort of person goes to loot a supermarket in that situation, or the sort of person that also doesn't buy Corona beer because it's got the same name as something?
Yeah, probably. Anyone in the chat, you can be honest now because we're a year past it. Were you one of the people who hoarded toilet paper? Come on, own up to it. You can leave an anonymous comment. We promise we won't read out who you are if you do it. So
yeah, but
if you did it, just put a thumbs up emoji. All right? We won't name anyone. So I'm just interested to know who all these people were. You know,
just curious.
Because it wasn't anyone I know.
No, it wasn't anyone I know.
No? Okay. Josh, you're a bit silent there.
No, mate.
So yeah, if you hoarded toilet paper, just leave us a thumbs up, and we won't name you. We won't name and shame you.
Yeah, I see a couple of people have shared that we're live on Facebook, so thank you for doing that. If any of you haven't and you feel like doing so, please do. We've already got 15 million people watching live, so a few more went there.
Bit down on last week, but never mind.
Yeah.
Bit down.
Couple of thou down. It's no biggie.
Couple of hundo down.
Couple of hundred down. Yeah, we haven't jumped the shark just yet, but we're doing.
Before we get our guest on, I just need to talk about a subject which was obviously it was the Super Bowl this weekend. I don't want to talk about that because it was fairly predictable what the outcome was going to be. Dan Gatro hoarded toilet paper. Oh, I mean, I wouldn't say his name out loud.
Whoops.
Sorry, Dan. Anyone else out there, if you hoarded toilet paper, I will not name you. Just leave a thumbs up.
I heard his studio is made out of toilet paper.
Yeah, I've heard that as well.
Why do you think it's so soundproof?
That was all the soundproofing. Yeah,
just gives the best acoustics. Mixing toilet paper with water.
Yeah. Sorry, because we're getting so many more comments now. I just saw this comment. I just don't understand why people hoarded toilet paper. It doesn't give you the shits. Yeah, I mean, I think that was a rumor at first. Corona gave you the poopies.
Yeah, thank you, Daniel, for that comment.
It was a strong rumor. But anyway, yeah. Sorry, the subject I wanted to talk about was not the Super Bowl. The Super Bowl happened, fine, what it was. But obviously, the next day we always hear about the Super Bowl adverts, and it's always like, "Oh, what films are coming out?" or "Who did a funny advert?" I just wanted to get your guys' take on the Wayne's World one because it left me really sad because they looked really haggard, and it just made me realise how old I've become. In that Wayne and Garth looked terrible. So I just wanted to know if you guys had seen it, what your thoughts are.
I haven't seen it, but it was Wayne's World came out 30 years ago.
Yeah.
31 years ago. Wayne's World came out, which is one of my favourite films of all time. Which is why I wear a cap.
I'd agree. I used to watch it as well when it was on MTV and when they had the weekly TV show as well. Used to really look forward to that. They were brilliant. But I think we've had in our group chat talk about Bill and Ted, about the new film that came out.
Yeah.
And I went to see the new Bill and Ted, and I love the original. And I think I've seen the Super Bowl, the Wayne's World Super Bowl ad, and my opinion is the same. It's same with Wayne's World as with Bill and Ted. It's like great to see them again, but you just can't. You're trying to do the same thing in a different time and place, and it so very rarely works. And I think this ad is another version of that doesn't work.
Yeah. Sorry to bum it down. It's been playing on my mind since Sunday.
You've completely ruined my night.
Yeah, sorry. I mean, in other news, Shaggy is in a new Super Bowl advert, and that also was really weird. So it's Ashton Kutcher. Ashton Kutcher trying to sing "It Wasn't Me," but he sort of kind of puts on a Jamaican accent, but it's very bizarre. It's very problematic, but I suggest you to seek it out because it's really weird. At first I thought it was auto-tuned, and I realized it wasn't. I thought, it's the auto-tune's just really weird on the ad, but it makes zero sense. So yeah, that's the other one. And Shaggy's like, you know what, this is a paycheck. Hit me up.
Yeah. Well, I did. Just going off on a quick tangent before we get our guest on, but Shaggy and Sting released a record together, like a few years ago now. But is that the weirdest combination of artists ever?
Shaggy and Sting. I mean, that's pretty out there. That is pretty out there.
Pretty fucking weird.
No, surely there's one like Lil Wayne and Blink.
Yeah, that's kind of weird, but they were both coming up and famous at the same time.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously the Paul McCartney, Rihanna and Kanye West one is a bit weird, isn't it?
Yeah, that is weird. Or Paul McCartney singing for Nirvana is a weird one. Remember when they did that?
Yeah, that's just because Dave Grohl wanted to record in the studio with Paul McCartney, and then it ended up being a thing they did at the Grammys or something, wasn't it?
Why though? He's terrible. He's in the worst. Paul McCartney's in the worst band ever. Why would you want to record with him? Wings are alright. Wings are alright. Yeah, Wings were pretty good. But
good. I'm glad we managed to get a Wings joke in there. Yeah. What's your favourite Beatles record, Andy?
My favourite Beatles record? I'd have to say Man on the Run.
Oh, it's Band on the Run. But you should have said the greatest hits of the Beatles.
Yeah. No,
Anyway.
because there are no greatest hits.
The best of the Beatles.
Average hits, I'd say.
Average hits. Okay. Right. Well, that's enough Partridge quotes. Josh, anchor the fuck out of it.
There's never enough Partridge quotes in my opinion.
Agreed.
Or Office quotes. But
Yeah,
anyway.
sorry. When did The Office get re-added to Netflix? They
About
kept that
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago, yeah.
Kept that one under the radar. I didn't even realise.
It's still
Sorry.
on Amazon Prime, though. By the way.
Oh, is it? Oh, okay.
It was added to Amazon Prime about a week after I bought the box set because I was bored of it changing streaming services. But there you go.
I think it's on Now TV as well, like Sky Comedy. Something weird. Anyway, sorry. Yeah, sorry. The Office. You just made me think of it, Josh. I was just like, hang on a minute. The Office is back on Netflix. When did this happen?
Parks and Rec is on both as well.
Well, okay, excellent, brilliant. Yeah, there's a recommendation for you guys. If you've never watched The American Office, watch The American Office.
Yeah. Can't imagine
Parks
no
and
one
Rec.
else. Yeah.
And Parks and Rec. Yeah.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, okay. Let's speak to this week's guest. It's a real honour to talk to him this week, actually. And as we briefly had a little chat before, I've never met him personally, but I know a lot about him and his band. So yeah, let's crack on with it. Ladies and gentlemen, Jon Clough. Hey.
Claps in the chat, please. Claps in the chat.
Some claps.
How are you doing?
Yeah, good man. How are you?
Yeah, good, thank you.
Good. Are you at work at the moment?
Well, I'm at the studio because the old internet at home is like a hamster wheel going around. So I thought,
Yeah.
get me out.
Yeah, fair enough. So how is work? What have you? Would you mind explaining what you do and what you've been doing for, as we briefly talked about, nearly the last year?
Yeah. So I started Creative Folks, which is like a design agency, 2012 now. So originally it was a sort of music studio, and I started like that, but now it's just evolved, and now it's pretty much design studio. We do web branding, graphics, video, photography, that kind of stuff. Just basically, any stuff that needs designing, content, all that kind of stuff. But we've been all right. I think I'm getting a bit of an echo. Is it me or is it you guys?
Not sure.
Yeah,
I've got a little me going on somewhere in the corner. But yeah, we've been all right actually the last kind of year or so. Luckily, it's kind of I think because we're kind of content and we're kind of doing the web stuff and things like that. I'm not saying it's been at the same level as we were, but we struggled a little bit at the start, and then we've been pretty lucky. But I still think the next few months is the kind of the period that I always think from it is going to be the tricky one. So we'll see how that goes, but can't complain.
Yeah, I think that that first period, I suppose it was unknown, unusual for everyone, and a lot of things just slowed down because everyone was being cautious. So spending stopped a little bit, didn't it? I think so. And
I think also, obviously it's quite a big phenomenon, a thing that's happened that obviously no one's prepared for. But I think a lot of people, from my experience, hid behind it as well. So a lot of businesses, you're doing projects and suddenly you go to get paid and everyone's like, "Oh, sorry, COVID," and you're like, "Well, I'm paying everything still." People are hiding behind it. And I think that's the thing that annoyed me mainly from it, and that kind of filtered out a little bit. And then people realised, "Oh, actually, we just got to get on," But that initial period was just bizarre, I think people sort of hid behind it a little bit, but yeah, I think all businesses now, they just realise you've got to get on. You can't just do nothing. You can't just hide behind it. You've got to plan for when this stops. And I think everyone is now. I think they're kind of getting used to that. I think.
Yeah.
Steve Peel. Sorry, John. Steve Peel, when we had him on, it was May last year. Was talking about how they had to adapt. Steve's from Yellow Bourbon Coffee Roasters.
Oh yeah.
So they do like a lot of mail order, but you can collect stuff from them as well. And every business has had to adapt in some way, haven't they?
I totally. I think the ones that I think it's actually. I was chatting to a local company yesterday, and they're like a local ice cream company. They're a really cool little brand, really, you know, doing things the right way. And we're talking to them about it. And I said, actually, when the events come back and things like that, and you start seeing people again, a lot of these businesses that neglected the online thing because they didn't think they needed it. And I was saying to them, actually now, because you have to do that, when you actually come back to go back to your norm with your events and things like that and face-to-face, you're then going to have also your digital stuff that you've had to do out of circumstance. And you're actually probably, a lot of businesses are going to be way stronger than they were originally because they thought we don't need that, you know?
Yeah.
So in a way, these companies have had to evolve because of it. But actually, it's put them in a stronger position long run, I think, you know, and now they're starting to think about that and thinking, oh, actually, yeah, you know, which is, you know, out of all the crap, it's pretty positive, you know, especially for a lot of small businesses, you know.
Yeah, I think that's true. I think, yeah, I mean, people have had to learn to adapt and be agile, and obviously, unfortunately, some people couldn't work that out, or weren't actually able to do it, or have had to stay shut for ages because their business wasn't able to open. But I think
what you just said there, Justin, I think the whole agile thing. I think if a lot of businesses who are small to medium, they're agile enough to move and change. And I think the way it's affected a lot of the bigger businesses is because they've gone, oh crap, how do we're too big, we can't move this ship, we can't do it, you know? And a lot of the smaller ones are able to adapt quicker and tweak things, you know? And I think that's actually put them in a better position than some of the bigger guys, I think.
Yeah, definitely. And enough about work. I'm sorry, Andy, were you just about to say something?
No, I was just going to say, yeah, it's something that Clough just reminded me of, the whole businesses hiding behind COVID. My new favourite thing is, like, obviously, because I've had the same complaint of, you know, that I've found some people, and my new favourite thing is when you call, like, EE or someone, they're like, due to COVID-19, we are receiving higher calls than normal. No, you're not. I've been on hold for 30 minutes before this. And now I'm still on hold for 30 minutes. So that's my new favourite. Is they're just like, just COVID. Just says COVID. It's still the same operating. So yeah, primo to those businesses who are using that.
These unprecedented times.
Another one of my favourites. Yeah, another.
Out of all the big guys, they've got so much worse in. Like Virgin, who I've dealt with, HSBC, everything I try and do, it's like hour and a half on hold. Everything, you can't do anything. And it's like, you know, all the services that you're normally, you know, you just can't do anything. You can't even get anywhere there. It's just mental.
Virgin Media, sorry, Andy, Virgin Media are especially bad.
Hands up. I had Virgin Media was my internet. And now I've moved, I've got a new internet company who I've never heard of before. Hyper optic, and they're like in a lot of apartments and stuff. Been perfect. Like, it was already when I moved in, all set up, all on, haven't dropped. And I was like, oh, just interesting. I went on Trustpilot. Virgin Media have 2 stars on Trustpilot. And I've never seen that before. It's literally just red and it just says shit. Every review is like shit. And they just don't even do anything about it.
It's because they had such a monopoly on, like, the high speed stuff, didn't they? Especially for businesses.
Yeah, that's another thing. Like, you know that they've got, you know, in the houses and the businesses, they've got the speed, but they've just become so bad. But you kind of just forget about it because they got the speed. But you know, they got the speed.
I didn't realise how bad it was until I had to start working from home. And you obviously, you know, you do a lot of video calls and stuff like that, and it's just like that's when you realise how bad it is. Like, and you have to I had to restart my router like 4 times a day to even make it through the day because it just dropped out and stuff. Anyway, guys, in the chat, let us know your broadband experience.
What's your speed?
Yeah, please copy and paste your Trustpilot review into the comments.
Do a ping test while we're on. Get kind of consensus out there. Plus, we did actually get quite a few questions for you. So one thing I'll say, I think you maybe have the best voice of any guest we've had on so far.
Thanks.
Just when you were talking, I was kind of like
putting you to sleep, isn't it?
Pure ASMR, isn't it? Dulcet tones.
Could you just say, let me get that loofah for you?
Let me get that loofah for you.
Oh, he leant into the mic as well.
Perfect. Oh, God.
Fucking hell, my heart just skipped a beat.
First question we've got is from Jinky. When is the full theatrical release of Life as God, and can you explain to us what this film is about and just what is Life as God?
Well,
start with a weird one for you.
This oh God, this is what are we talking here? 2002, something like that. So basically, we've been sent to at the time with the band, we were signed with Island Records, and they gave us a bunch of money, and they told us to go to this studio in Wales, Mono Valley, I think it's called, and it's like this posh thing in the middle of nowhere. And we were sent there for like 3 weeks to go and do a follow up for the non-hit that we wrote before. So they sent us there for I think it's 2 or 3 weeks, and we got there. It's actually a haunted studio, and the week before the it's that Welsh band Catatonia, whatever the singer girl was, she was in there for one night and then left because she said she heard all the ghosts upstairs and stuff. So we're pretty much freaked out anyway. As soon as we got there, we actually just stayed down in the lounge for the first 2 nights because none of us dared to go upstairs. And then we thought, well, we're actually put there to write some songs and come up with the next album. So we're there a couple of weeks, and we realised pretty much after sort of 10 days we hadn't done anything. Apart from we decided we're going to write this kind of thing called Life as God, which is basically me inviting everyone into the studio setting and basically just telling them how bad they were, and me taking over. And we thought, and in our kind of, I don't know what we were thinking, we thought it was a really good idea for a TV show. So rather than write songs and put this new album together, we spent the whole 2 weeks like scripting and putting this show together and got an old camcorder and filming it all. And then after about sort of 2 weeks, our product manager, whatever they're called, drove up from London to hear this, what we've been getting on for a couple of weeks, what we were doing, and sort of arrived, and we sort of told them, actually, we haven't really done anything, but we've got this amazing video. And they just didn't get it, And then hence, probably about 6 months later, we got dropped. But I remember one night when the guy's name was Charlie Larby, this guy from who'd come up from Island Records, and we even got him to lie in a bath whilst I think it's Mendes was brushing his teeth with no pants on as part of a scene. We managed to get him drunk enough to go in the bath and do this scene, and he really bought into it. And we thought, oh, he's really into it. He really wants to, And then the next day, he just drove off. And then I think we spent I think the bill was about £18,000 left on that studio. That when Ireland dropped us, the studio kept chasing us for this money. But obviously, when they drop you, it all gets written off. So obviously, Life as God never actually happened, but it was
Does a copy still exist somewhere?
Oh, I hope not.
It'll probably be on the same channel as the holiday Star Wars special. Probably be lurking around somewhere. A follow-up question, or not a follow-up, but another one from Jinky. Can you tell us about touring with Death Cab for Cutie?
It's actually pretty weird because at the time when we toured with Death Cab, but that was our first kind of real experience of the whole tour buses and the proper touring scenario. And it's weird because at the time I liked them and what have you, and I enjoyed the tour, but it wasn't actually until probably the last sort of 5 years that I've been really really into them, and been to see them a couple of times. And it's kind of weird. I was watching this. Me and Drew went to the show at London. I can't remember where they played. It was the year before last, and it was really weird watching them then, and it felt like a lifetime ago. That because at the time, I just wasn't, I'd only just sort of really found out about them and what have you. but it's cool, and it was good to see their kind of, you know, as an American band, their work ethic compared to like English bands, and it was like they'd turn up and it was all kind of quite business orientated, you know, the merchandising and everything, and Ben, you know, Gibbard is, you know, total kind of very focused, and then, you know, give it 5 years later, they're selling stadiums, you know, in the States and stuff, and it's pretty much that ethic, I think, you know, that was really odd to us, because like they didn't really drink, they were just really focused on doing what they had to do, you know, which is quite, you know, and it's proven actually their model. Obviously, they write some good songs as well, but you know, it's kind of a weird thing. They're very, from the early doors, they were very kind of, they had this kind of approach that was very different to what everyone else was doing.
Yeah. So for those of you that don't know, and you really fucking should, Jon was in a band called Medium 21. So I don't think we spoke about the band yet. So you guys, Medium 21 was, what was it, mid-90s to 2002, 2003?
Yeah, no, sort of later than that. I think 98 to sort of 2004. Yeah.
Yeah, was like the second gig in America or something.
Yeah. So we went out. We did like a 6 week. Well, we did a few shows. Then we went out to the States for like 6-8 weeks or something. Don't we recall? We did that. I mean, there wasn't much of a plan. I remember we flew into. We had all these gigs arranged. We had a lot of sort of, you know, very sort of indie, independent sort of stuff going on out there, and we had all these gigs lined up and what have you. And I always remember we kind of thought, oh yeah, cool, let's go and do it. And we flew into New York, and we met this this girl who we were going to stay with, and she'd arranged some gigs and stuff as well. And he lived in Washington or something, no, Baltimore. So we drove down there, and we were sitting on her porch that night and thought, because our first gig was in San Francisco, and we hadn't really realised how big America was. And it's like, guys, how are we going to get over there to San Francisco? We thought, oh, we'll fly. And then we looked at it and saw the prices of all the flights, and we went, And we realised we had 7 days. So literally, we woke up sort of really early next morning, just hired a car, and we drove all the way. And no word of a lie, we arrived half an hour before sound check.
Oh my God.
It took us 7 days, and only Drew could drive. So
Fucking hell.
couldn't share the driving. So we kept like sort of looking at them, and obviously there's no GPS and stuff like that at the time. You know, we just had a map, and we were just driving through this state. Jesus, it's taking, you know, I remember Texas, we were like, we're not going to make it, because we were just driving and driving and driving. And we just had this thing like, yeah, it takes a couple of days. It took us half an hour, like seven days just driving to get to a place called Cocodrie, which is like this venue in San Francisco. It's cool. So we did that, and then the bizarre thing was we at the time, Elliott Smith was like, we just got into Elliott Smith, and massive fans of Elliott Smith, and we spent the whole way driving across America listening to Elliott Smith like non-stop. And then we get to play Spacelands, which is kind of this legendary sort of club in Los Angeles. It's like Hipsterville, pretty much. And we're sound checking in there, and then I can't remember, Paul or someone came over and says, "Look who's at the bar," and Elliott Smith was sitting at the bar. And it was like, no, it's not. Went over, and it was him. So we sort of had a chat with him, and he stayed and watched the gig, and then it was just so random that I remember Paul just saying, "Oh, come over and say hi." We sort of massive fan. He's obviously very kind of, you know, insular and didn't really want to talk at all, but we sort of said hi to him, kind of thing. And but it's so weird driving across, listening to him all that time, and then he was there at the gig. It's like
randomly,
yeah. Fucking
and then as afterwards, there's Johnny Depp's Viper Rooms is like it's on the same thing, and there was all like bands. There's like presidents. Well, the presidents. Who's the guys who play with two strings? What are they called?
Presidents of the United States of America.
Yeah, Peaches.
Yeah, those guys. So it's like a night out with it was random. It was quite funny.
I remember when me and Meg, this was before Nick joined the band, me and Meg played in London, the Shacklewell Arms. We were like setting up to play, and my mate said, "See, that is over there." And I went, "Who?" And I looked, and I saw a man dressed as what can I describe as Beetlejuice, and it was Mark Ronson just stood in the corner of the room texting. So basically, he'd come because the girl who was on before us, he produced one of her songs or something. But it was just really funny. I was like, well, he stands out in a room because he's dressed like Beetlejuice on a Tuesday night.
Yeah. Not trying to be papped or anything, is he?
Yeah, it was like, I'm going to go incognito to this gig. I'm in a black and white striped suit. Like, really stood out. Well, that's good that you mentioned the Elliott Smith thing, because that was actually a question that we did get sent. So you've knocked that one off.
From Mendes,
yeah, from Mendes. Another question: if you could work with any music artist, dead or alive, who would it be? You can play, produce, or create artwork. Choose your weapon.
Ooh. I'd probably either say the obvious choice would probably be, if I look back at what I've listened to over the whole, probably Elliott Smith, from a musical point of view. But there's, I don't know, I think stuff like I've always loved everything like Jeff Tweedy has done as well, that kind of stuff, and more sort of modern day, like I just like all that. I still like all the kind of sort of lo-fi stuff. I still like Daywave and stuff like that.
Sorry, I love Daywave. I've never heard another person mention that. So brilliant.
I just love all that. I mean, that's the thing at the moment, like with everyone, disses Spotify and stuff like that. But you get to just play stuff, and just random stuff, and you kind of, and I guess stuff like that, really.
Have you listened to Hazel English? Sorry, going on a tangent.
Who's that, sorry?
Hazel English.
No.
Daywave produced her, so it's like a very similar vibe. Yeah.
Yeah,
really good. Sorry, I've never heard another human being say about Daywave, so I'm really happy you said that. I love Daywave, and no one ever knows it when I mention it. I think we'll do one more question, then maybe do our music next. Yeah.
Yeah, good.
So, what are your influences for lyrics?
I don't know, really. I mean, that's such a long time ago, really. When I was recently, it's one of the things that actually recent times, so we've started, before lockdown really hit, we started playing again, but not in the sense that we want to do a Medium 21 thing or anything like that. I just passed all that. And it's always the one thing that we've probably got like 15, 20 songs on the go, like we've been in the studio and we've done stuff. And the thing is that lets everything down, lets everyone down. They're like, right, have you done the lyrics yet? I can just write music all the time, really easy. I find it really easy to write stuff. But with lyrics, I think when I was back then, I found it really easy. It was just something that, and now I don't know what it is. I don't know whether it's, like, because you're not engulfed in it all the time. When I get to do music, it's only like I'll pick a guitar up and I'll have half an hour. And my mindset is not to write an amazing song and go and record it. It's just to have fun for half an hour. So I don't think that lyrics come in. It's just like playing and melodies. And then when you actually go to try and do something, it's a bit of a problem because you're not in that mindset. And I think back then I was just all I was focused on and it came from everywhere. And I kind of written more like, if I read something, I didn't like to do the personal stuff too much. I'd like if I read a cool book or a film or something, and I'd take inspiration from that, and that's how I'd write, rather than the kind of documentative kind of stuff. That wasn't really kind of what I did.
Sorry, Don. Did you do lyrics first or music first, lyrics after?
I mean, half the time the lyrics are like, when we're recording, you went to the granary as well a few times, didn't you? I mean, the amount of time I went to the caravan at the back and just quickly bashed them out because, we had you've got to have them done, And I've never, there are some people where, in terms of songwriting stuff, they'd always have lyrics first and then they'd write music around it. But it was always, I'm quite similar as well now, like with design stuff, because I'm very good at just coming up with little bits of design, and when someone tells me to finish something properly, I'm shit at it. I can't, I take a while to complete stuff. Whereas I'm really good at just bashing out some stuff and and it's the same with music. The little, the kind of the melodies, and we always used to write very quick. But then when it came to the actual lyrics, which were actually the main part of the song, then it takes a bit of time, you know.
Yeah, I'm the same. Yeah.
I think that's saying about when you play when you pick up a guitar now and you're playing for half an hour for fun. It's like, yeah, well, when we were like, I don't know, 18, 19, 20 or whatever, and we were in a band and we could rehearse 2 times a week for 3 or 4 hours at a time, and I mean that's loads of time to get stuff done.
Yeah, and it's funny because I sort of look back now and think, like, at the moment I struggle with time, like finding time to do everything, and back then you think, you know, there's a whole period when we were signed with Ireland for 4 years where we'd get up, we had downstairs at the sound house, which was ours, you know, we rented the whole thing out for a few years. Used to go in there about midday, do a little bit of rehearsing, and then go home at 4. You're thinking, what did I do with the rest of the? There's like another 10 hours there. You know, it's mental. You just kind of, when you know, that's what you do. You're just focused on, you know, on doing that. Whereas now it's just very different, you know. And I think you just find, you know, and I say now when I do music, I mean, I probably listen to more music than ever now than I did back then. And now it's just every day I just love listening to it. And I love, you know, but it's not necessarily something that I'm like, right, I've got to do that, you know. You know.
Yeah, it's just something for fun, or there's no goal, or there's no sort of new product. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, maybe this is a good chance to listen to this week's artist. It's a new and exclusive track from Kinships, which is Dave Crawford, Aoife, and Tom. And I've got to admit, I've seen it already, and it's fucking brilliant. So yeah, come on, let's play it.
Oh, hang on. There we go.
So fall deeper, take me into your arms tonight, and fall deeper where we are. You know I need you, let
Clap in the chat. Clap in the chat. Is everyone muted?
Hello. Sorry.
There we go.
There we go. Claps
I'm
in
a
the chat as well,
terrible
so-
internet stream producer.
That was excellent. Excellent stuff.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
Man. Yeah, you can find them on Instagram. I think it's at Kinships, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Same.
So good,
Yeah,
so good they named it twice.
Search it on Facebook and as well. Yeah. Yeah.
Right, I've got some more questions. We got so many. You're like a question generator. Just rolled in this week. Rolled in, but I've got one that can be for the group. I think it was intended for the group as well, which is if you could be in any Northampton band, who would it be? And you can also, again, be creative. You could be in the band. You could produce them. So we'll go with our guest first. If any Northampton band through history.
Oh, Nick, had to be Kapowski, mate. I have to hang out with you guys. Yeah, a bit of Tucker action, leakage. Yeah.
Honestly, if you didn't say that, I'd have probably cried. But yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
Nice one.
Josh, I think I know what you're going to say.
This is a really difficult question because there's so many fucking great bands to choose from. Yeah, I think I'm never going to be. I'm never going to decide on just one. But the closest band to my heart is Pieces, because I went to school with those boys, and I've watched every incarnation of the band from when we were in a band together, like 18 years ago or whatever it was. But I love all of their music, and I've never not enjoyed watching them play. So yeah, I'd find some way of muscling onto the stage and looking like I'm supposed to be there.
Well, I remember seeing you on stage with those guys in Led by Lies.
Yeah.
Which was Lewis and Chris, wasn't it? And Tom and was it Glenn?
Tom and Glenn and Ben. Yeah. There were six of them.
6.
Yeah.
God, imagine playing Stardust with 6. You probably did.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with
that. Andy, what about you?
I would have said Pieces as well, but I'd also say, I hate to say it because he's there, but Century City, just because they're a really good band and their gigs are a lot of fun. And I kind of am in Century City for one song, and I kind of have forced my way to being a regular during that song. So, I've had a taste, but I want the whole meal. You know what I mean? So Neil, Nick, if you need a triangle player or anything like that, then don't pick me because I'll be terrible at it. But
Yeah. Dan, Tommy, Ollie, your jobs are safe. I love you.
Bad to the bone. Go on then, Nick.
If I could be in any Northampton band, I would pick Kapowski, Century City. Yeah, I'm kidding. I would pick these motherfuckers right here.
Can't see what that is.
Can't see that.
That is medium.
IKEA filing cabinet. Brilliant.
Underneath the picture of Bruce Springsteen, there is a copy of Medium 21 Killings from the Dial.
Oh.
And also a copy of Medium 21 In Awe of Agriculture EP, which I bought from Virgin. Before I'd even met them, I was like, oh yeah, I like these guys. I'm going to buy this EP from Virgin Megastores, and watched them play like 2 days later, supporting the Delgados. The
Oh yeah, the Delgados.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it's incredible that the amount of love I have for Medium 21 and all of its members and management and roadie. But it's actually like full gay for Medium 21. So there you go.
Banging. That actually leads me to Clough. Medium 21. Where did the name come from?
The name. That's a. I was working at in a pipe factory just for. It was in break between in uni. So my wife went back there for the summer, and I got this job in a factory to get some dough, and it's basically just a medium 21 was a coffee. It was just like a milky crap. such like a nothing name, and we had to live with that name for it's not a great name, you know. It was like, but
you told me that story like fucking 20 odd years ago or whatever, and I thought it was bullshit.
That's true. I'll call it that. Yeah.
I remember going through when that rigmarole of like band names, you know, where it's like, what are we going to call ourselves? And you go through all these things. And I'll never forget the band I was in Southampton was called Burn the Fleet. And it happened, we were in a nightclub all pissed, and we've been trying to think of a name for about 2 weeks. And we had these pages and pages of like names, everything. You know, it was things from TV shows. And the guitarist just said, it's got to be something that can be chanted. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, for when people are chanting our name. And then I was like, oh, what about, and I was been listening to this Thrice album. And I said, what about Burn the Fleet? And I'll never forget, he literally went, yeah, that's it, that's the name. And that was how we picked our name, basically. So it had to be chanted.
Yeah. Well, Century City is a Tom Petty song. And it's also the location of the Nakatomi Plaza in Die Hard.
Mm.
That's where that building is. It's Fox Studios building. They own it. Yeah. And Kapowski's from Saved by the Bell, of course.
Kelly Kapowski.
Yeah.
Damn.
So no, that's what I think. Like, no band name will ever be as bad as U2.
No, it's pretty.
Yeah,
So you can do whatever the fuck you want.
Wasn't U2? U2 was like a rocket, though, wasn't it? Or like a bomb or something. Wasn't that where they got it from?
I don't know, but it's fucking terrible.
It's the worst band name and the worst name for a band member ever, The Edge.
Yeah, so shit.
It's like so ironic.
It's
Unintentionally ironic.
You know.
They must have come up with their own nicknames, which leads me into a next question. You, John, were really good at band nicknames. I've known Mendes as Mendes for the entire time I've known him.
And I don't think anyone knows why, because I don't know. If that's the question, I don't know why he's been called Mendes. An odd one. I mean, I think he's asked a question. Maybe he'll enlighten us on the chat.
Yeah, if he's on there, get him to fucking tell us why. U2 was a spy plane, Anna says.
Thank you, Anna. Yeah, I knew it was some war. I knew it was like a World War II-esque kind of thing, or military. So yeah, there you go. Like Joy Division. Do you ever know where Joy Division comes from?
It's a great band name, but it's dark, isn't it?
Yeah, it's an amazing band name, but the meaning of it is horrible. Like so horrible. Does everyone know? I won't say if everyone knows.
Yeah, just let everyone Google it.
Yeah, just Google it. I don't want to talk about it. It was a troop. It was a division of German soldiers who used to keep female prisoners to pleasure themselves, and it was known as the Joy Division. Yeah, horrible name. Horrible name. Amazing band. Horrible name. But yeah, there you go. Okay, I think that's all our questions. There is one which I suppose, John, we can kind of put out to you in your job now, which is what does the future hold with? It sounds a bit weird me saying this. What does the future hold for your creative juices? But I suppose really in terms of music, in terms of work, in terms of business, what you want to do.
I think, well, I've always wanted to get into a position where we can, sounds a bit simplistic, but try stuff out. I've always thought, like, up until now, building, say, the business up or whatever you do, you're always trying to stay afloat or stay healthy. Obviously, you get more people in, you're trying to, but it's got to the point where I just want to, started doing it now. It's kind of my New Year's resolution thing, just to try some stuff and not be afraid to try stuff and not be afraid for it not to work and things like that. So, there's a lot of projects that we've got on the go at the moment that are not creative folks related, but other branching out into other stuff and just having to punt that stuff and trying some stuff out, because that's, I think, I felt obviously a lot of you were always focusing on, from a content creation perspective or design, whatever, you're always designing stuff for clients and things like that. And you feel like you're just doing it. And it's like, actually, you come up with some ideas, you want to try them out and to get ourselves into a position where we can actually do that and not worry about it. And we're almost there, I think. So we've got a few ideas that, we've got loads of it. I encourage everyone to, we've got a whiteboard in here, which is some mental ideas on, just try, and we'll just do it and see what happens, And I think that's the idea for the next kind of period, is to actually not be afraid to do that.
I think that's what creativity is. It is trying stuff without knowing, or maybe even having an outcome.
Exactly. Yeah. And not, because often with everything you do, like if you've got an idea, you then sort of weigh up, is it going to work? How much is it going to cost? And all that kind of stuff. And it's basically just trying to take all that out of the equation, just going, well, it's an idea, let's run with it, see what happens, And we haven't, that kind of excites me to do that. And whether it's doesn't, no matter what it is, as long as there's some creativity there's some, a bit of fun, to keep things interesting. I think that's, I think that's probably what everyone needs. You're at the moment, especially, is trying to find stuff that keeps you kind of engaged and keeps you motivated, especially like when you're constantly at the moment having to do the same thing over and over. And it's kind of obviously it made me think that, it's the time to try stuff out, So that's kind of what my plan is for the next sort of 12 months, really.
Excellent. Brilliant. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for all the questions that we received as well. Like I say, they flooded into the inbox. It was crazy. This is the part in the show where we ask our guests what recommendations you've got. So things that you've maybe been listening to, that could be music, podcasts, movies, TV shows, books, what you'd recommend people check out.
Well, I've got a pretty, I don't watch a lot of TV, so I've got quite a crap kind of, I'd maybe watch like the odd thing in the evening, but so I'm not like a super Netflix who knows everything about.
Damn Virgin Media.
That's.
Sorry, we lost you there for a sec, John.
We lost you, John.
That's probably good, because I said Ben Fogle in the Wild on Channel 5.
I said Robson Green fishing across the UK.
Oh yeah, I kind of like just random stuff, and World's Toughest Prisons. I quite like that for some reason. I've watched every single one.
Nice.
And that's about it. I watch TV wise. Music, I've just found actually recently, the last week, and I've just played this Bill Ryder Jones that that I never really, because I knew he was a guitarist in, what were they called, that I didn't like, Coral, I think they're called, band. He was the guitarist in that, and they left him, and now he's written these really cool, it's really kind of sort of Americana, sort of lo-fi kind of stuff, but really kind of, just quite different. So I've been listening to a lot of that. Band called O Minnows, been listening to that a lot. And this really random one called East River Pipe, who are like from sort of mid-90s, I think, that just came up on my Spotify. Listen to them. I've kind of got into them a bit, but that's not nothing kind of super kind of well known, but stuff that gets me through the afternoon.
It's all gold. It's all gold.
It's all gold. Have you been? I believe a chap I know works for you, Dan Cargill.
Certainly does.
Has Dan forced Wolfpack on you yet?
He hasn't yet, but I'll ask him tomorrow about that.
You should, because I used to work with Dan. He's a great guy, and he got me into this band Wolfpack, and they're amazing. It got me obsessed. So I meant to ask you if you'd been subjected to Wolfpack.
He does listen to a lot of stuff.
He does, yeah. He has a very eclectic mix. Very eclectic mix.
He introduced me to there's a public service broadcasting track called Everest, and I've never really I kind of knew about them, and I completely forgot about them, and I think he sort of shared the track. It's like brilliant, and I listened to them quite a lot as well, thanks to him.
Yeah. Wolfpack is very office appropriate.
Yeah.
Wolfpack is very office appropriate, yeah, but he really got me into them. So ask him tomorrow, and I know he'll gladly be like, yes.
Okay.
Excellent. What we got then, chaps? Josh, what you got this week for recommendations?
I watched a film called Vast of Night on, I think it might be Amazon Prime or Netflix, about a switchboard operator in like the 60s that hears an unusual noise and investigates it. But it's the way it's, from what I understand, it's sort of a low budget independent film, but the way it's shot is like really incredible, sort of really long, heavy dialogue shots. But I'm not educated in film, so for it to be significant enough for me to notice that is something. Yeah, I really enjoyed that. I thoroughly recommend watching it. It's a little bit sci-fi, perhaps, which is not normally something I watch really, but I really love that, and it's a film that Hayley, my friend, recommended it to me, and I hadn't heard of it before she recommended it. I watched it that night, and it was really, really good. Yeah, I recommend that. Vast of Night, it's called. And I've been listening to not a lot of music actually. I've been listening to the Sherlock Holmes audiobook, which I think I might have even mentioned on here before, but it's like 75 hours of the Sherlock collection read by Stephen Fry. And it's really good. I mean, I'm not even a Sherlock Holmes fan, really. I've never read any of the books, but I mean, it's Stephen Fry, isn't it? He's such a great sort of orator that he can read anything and make it sound interesting. So yeah, no music recommendations, I'm afraid, but if you've got 75 hours spare, then you can listen to Sherlock Holmes.
Banging.
Nick,
Klaus?
Yeah, so I've gone a different. Well, I've got something that I'm going to start making a real weekly thing, and I'll come to that in a sec. I did it last week as well, but I've got anti-recommends this week as well. So the new Foo Fighters album, don't fucking listen to it. It's fucking shit. It sounds like Lenny Kravitz. If you like Lenny Kravitz, maybe give it a listen. But there's already one Lenny Kravitz, and we don't need another. The Drowning. It is a Channel 5. Crikey. Channel 5 4-part series about a woman that her son dies or goes missing. Sorry. Jesus Christ.
is that a massive fucking spoiler?
No, not really. And then there's 4 episodes of, maybe she's seen a kid with the same scar on its face. Maybe she did, maybe she didn't. 4 episodes of fucking bullshit, and then the end of it is the end of it. So don't watch that. Greenland, the new Gerard Butler movie.
Oh, yeah, watch that. I'll watch that.
This is a little bit more positive, to be fair. It's a disaster movie, and I fucking love disaster movies. So 2012, The Day After Tomorrow, Armageddon, Deep Impact, love those fucking things. And this one is a different slant on it, so it's more on the ground, not too many special effects, not too much pompousness, and there's a few like twisty little moments, and it's quite fun, but ultimately not a great movie. But if you need an hour and a half, if you've got an hour and a half to spend, give it a go. Gerard Butler generally is a not a good indication that the film's going to be good, but go for it. It's fine. And then, so last week I did the Stereophonics Dakota article on How We Made, which is a Guardian weekly thing where they interview the people involved in making a certain thing. They've done Pixies records, they've done films, TV shows, and the Stereophonics Dakota was a particularly good gold mine in the comment section. So I went back and I saw they'd done one, How We Made Berlin Take My Breath Away, which is of course the film, which is of course the song from the film Top Gun. So starting just quickly with some comments about these are comments from Guardian readers. Comments about the film. The film is pretty lame, apart from the flying bits. Good one. The second one, Top Gun is fucking shit. It's a good one. And then they get into the song itself. It was the kind of overblown, dramatic flimsy that people who don't really care about music tended to buy. Lovely. A load of slushy tosh. This is twofold. Most people who care about music would sell a kidney to write a song that brings in as much cash as this. Fair point. But the comment underneath was, I would rather sell my kidney than have to listen to this song. Appalling, mawkish, sentimental, trite, tiresome, tedious, unlistenable. And no, Linda, I still haven't got over you dumping me when this was our number one sniff. Which was number one. Sorry. And the comment underneath was, she's lost that loving feeling.
Oh.
Beautifully done. Beautifully done. It's a goldmine, I'll tell you. Someone said, I'm less interested in how we made this, more so in why. I dislike this song so much that if it was played on the pub jukebox, I would stand outside the pub until it was finished. And there you go. And that's all the comments on Take My Breath Away by Berlin. Just to add to that, someone asked me to play that at the Wigan Pen on a Friday night. Bearing in mind that song is about 13 BPM and is on the end credits of a emotional action movie,
and about 13 minutes long itself as well.
So I said no. Obviously, I said I don't think this is appropriate. She said, "It will really get." I quote this: "It will really get the party started." No, it won't.
I just hate the general public.
So yes, I said no. Maybe I'll play it at the end, and I did play it at the end, but she was gone about 2 hours before. Anyway, there you go. Andy, floor is yours. Sorry.
Thank you, mate. They were good. There was some good stuff in there. Well, I've been pretty on the same thing all week. So me and Laura have been watching Game of Thrones together from the start. So I'm nearly at the end of season 6. So I haven't really ventured too much outside of that. I don't know if I mentioned it before, but Midnight Sky on Netflix, which is the George Clooney film that got added to Netflix, really good. So I recommend that. I don't want to say what it's about because you should just watch it, basically. But it's cool. And then I listened to Louis Theroux's podcast this week. But I listened to the FK Twigs episode, and she talks about, well, life in general. But then she's back on and talking about kind of the story that came out about her and Shia LaBeouf, and kind of the relationship that they had. And obviously, it was in the press that he had, accused him of sexual battery and abuse and stuff. And it was just a very honest interview. It's really, really sort of really astounding just how on the line she put it. So I recommend checking that out. It's very eye-opening to listen to. And that was about it, really. As on a sad note, a podcast I've been listening to for 8 years about NFL. So sorry for people who don't care about the NFL. Around the NFL. One of the presenters passed away from cancer this week, and it made me feel really weird because I've been listening to the guy's voice for 8 years, and he to the point where he talked about when he got married and kind of the podcast was involved, and then his birth of his son. So it was a bit weird, kind of getting this news that this guy had passed away, who I've never met in my life, but I have been listening to him for 8 years, be quite personal. It made me feel like a really weird feeling. So, if you want to check out an NFL podcast around the NFL, I'd recommend it, because they're going to be continuing the podcast. And, it's very good. Just a general good podcast anyway.
It is a good podcast. It is weird when people that you don't know that you've kind of listened to or had some emotional attachment to pass away. Like Tom Petty, when he died, which is now 4 years ago, 3 years ago.
God.
Crazy. I felt awful for like 2 days. I'd never met the bloke.
Yeah, it was really weird. I kind of saw it and was like, oh my God, and to the point where it made me write a comment on the post on Instagram, which is like, "Fuck, I've never met you, but like I've listened to you for 8 years and was there for this and this, and it's very sad that you've left an amazing legacy." And I was like, "Hang on a minute, I just wrote that. What?" Like,
I think
did I just feel an emotion? Like, what?
I think that's an interesting thing, because maybe this is a new dynamic where you listen to podcasts where it's probably the volume of podcasts that gets put out is higher than if you listen to an album or something, although arguably an album gives you maybe a deeper connection if you do connect with it. But when you think about some of the podcasts, or when I think about some of the podcasts I've listened to, hundreds of episodes, maybe even like approaching 1,000 episodes. Like if you think about like Joe Rogan and stuff, do 3-hour episodes, and I don't know what he's up to now. To be honest, I've not listened to her for a while, but I listened to I must have listened to 1,000. That's 3,000 hours I've listened to that guy have conversations. That's a relationship. Obviously he doesn't know I exist, but it's a weird dynamic to know somebody that well, but have no relationship with them whatsoever. That's just not. But it's odd. But I can understand what you mean. You do know these people quite well, and if you've listened to them for a long time, you hear about events in their life, and as if you were a mate that they were chatting to.
It's a really weird medium, because it's like you don't get that with TV, because the cycle changes, and they're there to present a show, not about them or something. But when it's a podcast, it's about naturally people's lives kind of bleed into it. It's definitely a more personal experience, I think. Anyway, I've gone off on a tangent, but Emma Kemp says the episode with Twigs was really good. So Louis Theroux's podcast, I recommend. If you like Louis Theroux, it's basically him but a podcast. It's very good. I recommend that.
Nice.
But that's it. And the Game of Thrones up to season 6, then stop watching it. Basically.
Yeah, fair enough. There's only one more question left, isn't there?
Is there?
Yeah. The
Celeb.
famous.
Oh my God! I forgot our own question. Sorry, John. That's my bad. Because we've got so many questions for you. That's why it put me off. We also ask our guests regularly, who is the most famous person you have seen in Northampton? And the cheesier, the better, please.
I was thinking about actually when we were talking earlier about the Sound House days, because there's some random people who came through there. But there's one that stands out, not necessarily the most famous, the coolest, but just because he had a right go at me and I thought it was very funny. The band called the Stranglers, so it's Hugh Cornwall, and he's a right kind of prima donna, and they're playing in the big room at the Sound House, and they got to the end of their set, and for some reason I normally work behind the bar, but the lighting guy wasn't there, so they told me to go and do the lights. And I had this kind of mixing desk there. And I spent the whole gig like really panicking, making sure that everything was working all right. And the gig went all right, pretty bad light show, pressing the odd button. And it gets to the end of the gig, and he'd been a bit moody all day anyway, and everyone's a bit on edge because he was like really kind of just not a very nice guy really. He's obviously having a bad day. But yeah, it got to the end of the gig, and he got to this bit where he kind of broke down. The whole crowd was there, and he was kind of doing the whole talking thing, and then. For some reason, I think someone asked me something or something moved. And I remember just moving my arm to go get it. I pulled the back of the lead, the power thing out of the back. And it just went pitch black. And then I remember Bill Davis, who worked there, Bill obviously owned the place, so I came over and like, what's going on? And all I could hear from this, he was effing and calling me all the names under the sun. And I just couldn't, even when I plugged it back in, the lights reset themselves. So they're all flying around.
Oh, man.
And then bizarrely, sort of 5 years on from that, I ended up doing lighting for a few years, and I was just thinking, but so that was kind of, it's kind of good actually. When I sort of thought about it, because it was a prat, so it was like the gig ended well for him in the end. I won.
That's a memorable moment. The people will be leaving that gig like, I was meant to win the lights.
I just remember like thinking, and it's probably that mindset when I was thinking that I'd got through the whole gig without messing up. I thought, I'd done it, Yeah, and then that happened. But there's something similar, actually, something quite as bad as that as well, with the band Maps, Northampton band Maps. They were playing this Astoria in London, and I was tour managing at the time, but also doing some of their visuals. And there's a screen either side of the stage when they come on, and he got his intro music started up. So they've got this kind of drone. I think it's a Mogwai track or something, and this drone happening, like building up the atmosphere. And all along, I'd make sure like I don't touch anything. I was using like a vision mixer at the time. They were quite kind of bulky at the time. They weren't that great. And this track was building up for 2 minutes, and then suddenly the band walk on. Everyone starts cheering, and my bloody screensaver comes on both sides. Out of everything, I was so panicked about making sure that everything was working. I forgot to not go to sleep. So it was all building up, and then suddenly the screensaver comes. I have to put the password in, their record. One of the guys from the record label came over, and wasn't happy. But that was it. Tech moment.
Oh my god! I remember doing something very similar. Was a guitar tech for my friend's band, and they were headlining Rock City, and basically I used to have to go out at the start of every night and hit play. They're much more sophisticated now, but it was an iPod on the drummers, which had the backing track, and it all played in their ears. Yeah. And I was trying to lean over the drum kit because it was this tiny space, and I reached through some cymbals. And I went to hit play on track 1, and I hit track 2. And all of a sudden, instead of the normal intro, it was like the next track, and I was like, and then I had to stop, and I was like, reset. Play, I hit track 3. And then I looked to the side of the stage, and all the band have got their in-ears, and they look at me like, what the fuck is going on? And I'm like, it's fine. Like pitch black, trying to see through, and eventually I got it.
And the fact that you're still close friends with all of them is
it's a miracle. It's an absolute miracle. But I do not guitar tech for them anymore. Obviously. And on that bombshell, we normally ask, thank you everyone for joining us. Thank you, Jon, for giving your time. We normally ask our guests to do a pose with us. So anyone who's watching, if you can screenshot and tag us, NN Social. What's our Facebook, Nick, Josh?
I think it's the NN Social, isn't it?
Yeah, just the NN Social. Yeah.
You can tag us on there. So we ask our guests, Jon, to adopt a Vogue pose. Whatever you want to do, anything natural. So if you've got a prop in the room, you could use that. It's up to you. It's totally free.
We're all doing it. It's not just you.
We're all doing it.
Not too much prep.
No. Yeah, not too much prep.
For the second week in a row, I've got a guitar ready. Or a bass.
Different guitar.
Music fans. This is a bass.
A bit old.
Oh.
Okay. So in 3, 2, 1, hold your Vogue pose. Okay, guys out there, take your screenshots. Please take your screenshots. And in 3, 2, 1, unvogue. Awesome.
Oh yeah, fucking nailed it. I mean, the internet will never be the same again. But
never be the same again. Never be the same. Jon, where can people check out any of your stuff? Where do they go online for the business or music or anything like that?
So business is creativefolks.co.uk. I think on Spotify, I think we're just about to get the old Medium 21 Killington Nadal back up on there because it ran out of the publishers stopped or whatever. So we're trying to get it back on. So I don't know what's happened, but because at the moment there's some random B-side collection thing going on, but I think that's going back up on there in the next couple of months.
Amazing, wicked. Well, everyone check that out. But I think that's it. So it's bye from us.
Cool.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you very much.
You have to wave now. Wave.
Bye.